Hi there, this is Jeanette for Whimsy Stamps. Today I have a cute little birthday card that I created with one of the new clear stamp sets. This stamp set is called Because, and it comes with some flowers and a couple of cute little bees and a butterfly as well. So I used that, and to create the birthday sentiment I used the Happy Sayings die set. So I'll take you through how I did that. The first thing I did was I took some watercolor paper, put that in my MISTI, and I'm inking up my stamps with some archival black ink. So this is the ink I like to use when I'm going to be watercoloring. And so I did also pull out a couple of other stamps from the set. I didn't end up using them, but I did keep them aside so I can watercolor them and use them for another card at a later date. So I'm going to be using the Zig Clean Color markers, and I will be listing the numbers as I use them on the screen. I generally start off with my darker color, blend it out with the lighter color, and then blend it with a water tank brush. So this is just like a paintbrush, but instead of dipping the paintbrush into water, the water is already sort of contained in the tank of the brush. I'm going to move on to the flower. So here you can see that I'm using this darker red color, and this is where I want my shadows to be, or the darkest color to be, blending it out with the lighter marker and then blending that out with the water tank brush. I have this paper towel over on the side, and I just keep dabbing any excess color or excess water onto the paper towel, and that way I can make sure that I'm controlling my shading. So it works really well on this watercolor paper. I've listed the watercolor paper I'm using below this video, and I find it works really well with these markers. There's not every watercolor paper works well with these markers, but this is the one I find works well for me. I decided to put a little bit like of a violet color around this part of the flower. And I'm not going to blend that out because I didn't want it to sort of go all over the place. Then I'll be taking the same color, and that will be my darkest shade for this flower, and I have a lighter marker that I'm using now, and again just blending. I really love using these markers. When I first bought them, there was a bit of a learning curve, but now I find I've sort of perfected my technique with them, so I hope I can sort of share with you how to use them, and you'll get some good results as well. So for this card, I really wanted some bright colors, something really cheerful and happy, and I think these colors really work well together. I was really happy with how the card turned out. I did know that I wanted everything else on the card to be white. So you're going to see that, you know, my card base is white. I did cut out a sort of stitch detail for this. You're going to see that a little later on. So that's all white, and then these images just pop with these bright colors, and I find you can get such vibrancy with these markers. They're a lot more vibrant than say like the distress markers or distress ink. They're just more vivid, the colors. So I'm doing the wings now with this nice light blue, and so you can see where the two wings are overlapping. That's where I left most of the color. I'm going to be pulling out, I think, the black, to do the rest of the body here. I did not use another marker to blend this. I just ended up using some water. So with the water tank brush, whenever you need more water, you just sort of squeeze a little bit above where the nib is, and fresh water will flow out. I generally do that over my paper towel and then sort of dab it so that it's a little bit drier, and that's sort of how you go from color to color rather than dipping it into, you know, like a little jar of water. I find it's quicker, and this has a fine enough detailed brush on the end that I can do smaller images. Doing the center of the flowers now. just sort of touching up a little bit of that flower. And then I'll just do the leaves over here. I use some bright greens, and you can see how quick and easy this is. So once that was all done, and I did leave it to dry for a little bit, I took out my scissors and I cut around each image. So to add a little interest to the card, I took one of these hand-stitched rectangles. This is the second largest one that comes in Whimsy's set, and it has sort of like a nice sort of decorative stitching around the edge. And I cut out the sentiment saying to. I did cut that on a metal shim so that it was very easy to pop out the tiny little pieces. You can see it's quite detailed, and if you cut it out on this shim, then it's just easy just to sort of run your little craft pick over it and everything falls out. So now I'm arranging the elements on that rectangle that I die cut. So you can see I kind of wanted the happy die cut to look almost like it was a flower. So they fit really nicely on the panel. I did not or could not find a birthday stamp. So I just took a glaze pen and I just wrote the birthday myself. So that actually, I think if you're giving that to a family member, that sort of adds another sort of homemade touch and a personalized touch if you're putting your handwriting on the card. So I will have to, I know that Whimsy has a gorgeous sentiment set that has birthday in it, so I'm going to have to pick that up. So I'm just using some zig glue dots to adhere everything to the panel. You can see how quick and easy this card is. I didn't put any dots sort of towards the upper part of his head because I did kind of want the antennas to sort of pop up a little bit from the card, give a little dimension. I darkened up the eyes with my black glaze pen and then added some white dot details to the eyes. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rectangle, and instead of adhering it directly to my card base, I am going to put some foam on the back of it, and this will pop it up off the card base. And it just adds another, extra little touch, another element, makes the card sort of more interesting and more polished. So I'll just take off that release paper and pop my rectangle on top of the card base. And then I have these gorgeous enamel dots from Whimsy, and I sort of chose the colors of my flowers based on the enamel dots. So now I'm just sort of scattering a few of them here and there using a few different colors, putting that onto my card, and that just adds just the final touch. I'm really happy with how my card turned out. I hope you enjoyed this simple happy birthday card. You can find all the products and their links below this video on YouTube or my blog. Thanks so much for watching.